Delle Donne again.
We had a great year last year, won a lot of games.
Welcome CAA Hoops fans to our first episode of CAA Hoops Weekly. I'm your host Bobby Broyles, joined by Rob Washburn. Every Friday we will be here to get you ready for the weekend's action in both CAA men's and women's hoops and to review some of the past week's contests as well. We will begin by taking a look back at a couple of this week's men's games. As we review these games, you will see final scores from the week pop up on the bottom of your screen. So without further ado, let's get ready.
I'm excited to get going. Let's go, Bobby.
All right, Rob. CAA men's basketball has certainly had an intriguing start to the conference season, and it continued this past Tuesday as the Northeastern Huskies improved to 3-0 in conference play for the first time since 2008 and 2009 with an overtime win at Drexel.
Yeah, an exciting back-and-forth game. Drexel playing without its leading scorer, Damian Lee, but Tavon Allen, the freshman, steps up with 15 points. Drexel takes a 4-point lead in the game with just a minute to go, but Northeastern rallies back. And then Quincy Ford comes up big with a double-clutch three-pointer with 1.9 seconds to go, forces the game into overtime. The Huskies then get it done from the free throw line, 12 out of 13 from the line in the extra session, and come away with a victory. I think particularly encouraging for Northeastern the fact that its guards Jonathan Lee and Joel Smith were held to single digits, but Reggie Spencer steps up with 17, Quincy Ford with 14, and Northeastern picks up the win on the road.
We had another overtime contest this past Wednesday. It actually took two extra periods for this one up at Towson as the Tigers moved to 3-0 after knocking off William & Mary. Jarrell Benneman, who has just absolutely been a monster this season for the Tigers, is making an early case for CAA Player of the Year.
Well, he certainly is. And Towson down 9 in this game with 3 minutes to go in regulation, rallies back and forces overtime. William & Mary responds. They're down in the overtime, and Marcus Thornton comes up big, hits a three-pointer with 0.6 of a second to go. But in the second overtime, it's all Towson. They start the period on an 11-1 run. And as you mentioned, Jarrell Benneman with another huge game, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 7 block shots as the Tigers put 5 in double figures. Marcus Thornton with 6 threes and 24 for William & Mary, but not enough. And Towson and Northeastern now both 3-0 atop the conference.
Now as we switch our focus over to the CAA women's basketball side, it's not just the Northeastern's men's team who've had a strong start to the conference season, but the Huskies women's team is undefeated in league play as well.
Yeah, Northeastern starting out with a 69-63 win over George Mason last Sunday, and then on Thursday night pull out an overtime victory 71-69 over William & Mary. In that game against Mason, they're down 12 at the half, but opened the second half on a 34-7 run and held off a late charge. Northeastern now with 10 straight wins at home, Bobby. Gets them one shy of the program record. Last night in the overtime game, Jewel Tunstall with a double-double, 16 and 14. And then earlier in the week, Elise Mark, who was the CAA Player of the Week, 17 points in the victory over Mason.
We had another contest that came down to the wire last night in Harrisonburg as the Drexel Dragons picked up a big win on the road against JMU.
Yeah, 48-46. James Madison up 15 in the first half, 11 at halftime, but Drexel slowly chips away and takes their first lead of the game when Holly Mershon hits a couple of free throws with 4 seconds to go. Mershon with a huge game, 17 of her game high, 20 points in the second half, and Drexel improves to 2-0 in the CAA.
We'll be talking about Holly Mershon a little later in this show. That was your look around CAA men's and women's basketball this week. Now as we get ready for this weekend's action, we will once again begin on the men's side as we have a battle for first place on the line in Towson on Saturday with the Tigers playing host to the Northeastern Huskies.
Yeah, Towson now on a 4-game winning streak for the first time since 2000. And the win streak comes on heels of losing 4 in a row, but they go on the road and beat Oregon State. Now 3 straight wins in the conference for the first time ever. Northeastern 3-0 for the first time since 2008 and 2009, and they've already gotten road wins this year at Drexel and at George Mason. And if they can get a road win at Towson, we all know how tough it is to get road wins on the road in this conference. So, big spot for both teams this weekend.
Also at noon, tipping off our triple-header televised action on Saturday, it will be the Delaware Blue Hens traveling to Atlanta to take on the Georgia State Panthers on various Comcast Sportsnet regional networks. Rob, it could be a historic day for Delaware's Jamil Higgins as he looks to break the school's all-time record in rebounds.
Yeah, Jamil's had a great season already. Delaware 2-0, also unbeaten in conference play, has won 4 in a row. Higgins just 8 rebounds shy of passing Spencer Dunkley to become the all-time leading rebounder in Delaware history. Also only needs 16 points to reach 1,000 for his career, so it could be a couple of milestones in that game. Georgia State, of course, led by the fantastic freshman R.J. Hunter, 4-time CAA Rookie of the Week, who's only one of 5 players in the nation averaging, or one of 5 freshmen in the nation averaging 16 points and 5 rebounds a game. Sets up as an interesting matchup.
Now here is a look at the rest of this weekend's action around CAA men's basketball. Back over to the women's side now. We talked about the Northeastern Huskies earlier and how they have been very impressive early on, but they will now be tested on the road as they play at James Madison, which is coming off a 2-point loss to a tough Drexel squad.
Yeah, good test for Northeastern. As we've touched on, 10 in a row now at home, but now going on the road in one of the tougher places to play in the CAA against one of the league's perennial powers. Of course, James Madison coming off that tough loss on Thursday night to Drexel, so a big game near the top of the standings for both squads.
And in Norfolk, it will be a battle between 2 undefeated teams in league play with rich histories in the league as Karen Barefoot's Old Dominion Lady Monarchs play host to the Delaware Blue Hens.
Well, Karen Barefoot has Old Dominion back where they used to be at the top of the standings, 2-0 right now in the conference, going against a Delaware squad that's won 20 in a row now in league play after beating George Mason on Thursday night. So 2 teams that are both undefeated in league play going head-to-head.
Here's a quick look at the rest of the action happening around CAA women's basketball. We wrap up today's show with a very touching story coming out of the Drexel women's basketball team. Senior guard Holly Mershon spearheaded a project that paid tribute to the victims of the December shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. This past Sunday, the Drexel women's team wore T-shirts that said Sandy Hook on the back to honor those 26 victims.
Yeah, I think it speaks about the quality and character of Holly and the other student athletes in the CAA that she was able to come up with this idea. Holly's an elementary education major, and this obviously struck very close to her heart and was a great gesture. And there were other programs around the CAA who also took time to honor the victims of this terrible tragedy.
A very nice gesture from Holly Mershon and the rest of the Drexel women's basketball team. That is all for this first edition of CAA Hoops Weekly. Hope you enjoyed the show. Rob and I will be right here next Friday, so remember to stay with CASports.com for all the latest information going on around the league. Have a great weekend, CAA Hoops fans.